And now, On The Go Media proudly presents Between the Ropes.
Welcome back to Between the Ropes. My name is Hunter Dietz. This is Colt Powers, and today we're going over something kind of interesting, a little bit different than what we've been doing the last few weeks. We're going to talk about our favorite wrestlers and why, and any wrestling fan knows how difficult of a conversation this is to have, because it's just so hard to narrow it down to just a couple of things. Would you agree with that?
100%.
People who are not necessarily wrestling fans ask you, maybe looking for a good starting point, oh, well, who's your favorite wrestler? Well, what era are you talking about? What promotion are you talking about? What style? What this and that? There's just so much we love about it. So it's very difficult for us to narrow this down to just a couple, but we did want to try. So I've got 5, Colt's got 5. We cross-checked our list to make sure it was not like our Royal Rumble list where we agreed on everything. And so while I do agree with many of his picks and he agrees with many of mine, they are different lists. So we are going to start off, and Colt, I'd like you to start by telling us about your number 5.
So my number 5, and now I will preface this, that my list is fairly fluid. Like you said, we have a big list. I really didn't have a problem naming my top 4. For some reason, when I got to 5, it's like, okay, so who do I put in here? I have a very long list of ones that, it could be very fluid on any given day. So I'd probably be better off, honestly, with a top 10 list.
Yeah.
But, so I chose for my number 5, the superstar Billy Graham.
Sure. Yes, superstar Billy Graham obviously was a very big deal in the 70s and for the WWF and kind of all across the country. Tell us a little bit about why.
So for me, actually, I knew who Superstar was, but when he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, I started really looking into his videos. I started looking in. He had a way with words.
Okay.
I loved his promos.
Sure.
He kind of modeled things a little bit after, not Mike Tyson. Who am I thinking of? The boxer.
Oh, Muhammad Ali?
Muhammad Ali. Good Lord. Good
not Mike Tyson. He wouldn't come for another 20 years.
Some days. My brain's still not working after the last week I've had. So
Sure.
But he kind of modeled his stuff after Muhammad Ali. He was one hang of a talker on the mic, and I loved kind of his raps and stuff that he had. But he was a WWF heavyweight champion. He went into the Hall of Fame with the class of 04, and at that time, I would have been around 20, I think I was around 22. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I knew who Superstar Billy Graham was. I had seen matches, but when he had his Hall of Fame induction, I was like, I really like this guy, and I wanted to go back and do my research on him, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
They put out some videos of his, and then I went back, looking at more, and I really fell in love with the guy. Obviously, I wasn't around. I'd say obviously, but I wasn't around when he was in his heyday. But I really liked Superstar Billy Graham. And he was during an era when, you had to make matches interesting. You had to, I say make them interesting because of the length of time that these matches went on
I mean, you weren't having really 2 or 3 minute matches
No.
at this time with segments in between. You were captivating the people with the matches themselves, and these are long matches, especially at this time. So
And so going back, he was a WWF heavyweight champion. He's a WWE Hall of Famer from the class of 04. He won a Slammy Award. And he won the Hulk Hogan Real American Award in 1987. He's a class of 09 from the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum. If you go back, so a lot of you kids that may be watching this didn't realize they had magazines back in the day.
They
That's
did
how
have
we got our.
magazines, yes.
That's how we got a lot of our information. One that I absolutely loved and I read pretty religiously, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He was the most hated wrestler of the year in 1973. He was one hell of a heel.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had match of the year in 77 against Bruno Sammartino. He had match of the year in 78 versus Bob Backlund. He was ranked number 277 of the top 500 singles wrestlers of the PWI years in 2003.
Yeah.
And he's got a ton of other accolades. He was International Pro Wrestling Champion, CWA World Heavyweight Champion, NWA Florida Heavyweight Champion twice, NWA Hawaii Heavyweight Champion. I mean, the list goes on. And like I said, for me, it was just the fact that this guy, he had a great look to him. I loved the tie-dye. And he had a great skills on the mic, and then his wrestling ability, especially for that era, I thought was really good. He was kind of ahead of his time because guys like Jesse the Body Ventura,
Yep.
Hulk Hogan,
Yep.
Scott Steiner, they all modeled their looks after superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah. And you really can't say enough good about a guy like superstar Billy Graham and what he did for the industry, especially at that time. Obviously, like you said, he went into the Hall of Fame in 2004. He'd go on later to regret that induction and want to be taken out because of a dispute with Vince. But I think he eventually kind of got cool.
I think
with everything.
he came back around to it. He passed away here a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he'd had a up and down relationship with Vince, and
As many people have.
that's not he is not the exception.
No. Well, and great to hear about superstar Billy Graham. My number 5, similar to that model of just doesn't care what anybody thinks, will do whatever, whenever, and that's why the people like him. Holds the Guinness World Record for a most wins of the Royal Rumble at 3 times. A former WCW World Television, United States, and Tag Team Champion. In the WWF, a 6-time champion, Intercontinental Champion, 4-time Tag Team Champion, $1 Million Champion, the 96 King of the Ring winner, won the Rumble in 97, 98, and 2001, won the WWF Championship #1 Contenders Tournament in 2002, a Triple Crown champion, a 2-time Slammy Award winner, and a 2-time Hall of Famer. We're talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. And there's not much more that you can say about a guy who is the face of professional wrestling. Really, when there was a slump in the industry and every company was having trouble gaining viewership, that 95, 96 era, guys like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and eventually Stone Cold Steve Austin helped that rise and come into a different time period for wrestling, because what we see out of Steve Austin is isn't like anything I've ever seen in my lifetime, or really I don't know if they saw it before, but he joined the WWF in 1996, or was it 95?
I feel like it's 95.
It might have been 95. Okay, either way. Yeah, I think you're right, 95. He retires in 2003. He was with the company for 8 years, less than a decade. And in that time, he changed the entirety of the industry.
Yep.
He became a household name. People who didn't know anything about wrestling are wearing Austin 316 shirts. He changed it from a merchandising standpoint, he changed it from a politicking standpoint, and he changed the entire game for the wrestling fan and the wrestling promoters.
Yep.
So it's really hard for me not to include Stone Cold Steve Austin on this list as one of the greatest of all time.
He was one. Now you're talking. He's definitely one of the greatest of all time. But I mean, we're talking on our personal lists, and because he definitely fits one of the greats of all time.
Sure.
It's unfortunate with his he didn't have the longevity as far as in ring work.
Let me explain to you why he is on my personal favorites list and why I have adjusted since earlier when I was thinking about this. Earlier, I'll throw out the honorable mention. Originally, I was going to have Mick Foley on this list, but I thought about it a little bit more. And who has provided more of those goosebumps, earth-shattering moments than any time Stone Cold has come out in the last 25 years? And it doesn't matter if he has been with the company actively, if it's been since he retired, it doesn't matter. When the glass shatters, everyone in the building knows they're about to witness history.
Yes, and he is one of those that is fluid into my list, and it depends on the day, because in the era that I was watching before you were born, this man, like you said, he changed almost a political climate to a degree, because he was the everyman going against the corporate boss.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, I want to be that guy. He was what everybody wished they could be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you see a Steve Austin match, one of the most frequent criticisms that I see from people online is that, well, Austin was a brawler, he never knew how to work. And that tells me everything I need to know right there. You have never seen anything before the neck injury.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything before the end of his career. Austin in WCW is putting on some of the greatest matches of his life. His short run in ECW, some of the best promos. And that's another thing with Austin. One of the greatest promos in the history of the business. And
that's how we got Austin 316, completely by accident, just because he was doing a promo on Jake the Snake.
Absolutely. So, very hard to have any kind of top list without Stone Cold as a part of it. And personally, why he means a lot to me, I live for those moments of the hair standing up on your arms, and there's no one better at it than Austin.
Yep, I will agree with that. He's definitely one of the greats.
But I do want to talk a little bit about your next pick. I know that he's kind of near and dear to you. Tell us a little bit about this guy.
The Ultimate Warrior! Fuel the rocket ships! I love the Ultimate Warrior. When I was a kid, one of the biggest names was Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 6, here comes the Ultimate Warrior. I don't think I could tell you for sure that, much like a match that we'll talk about later on here today, this is one of those where I was like, do I pick Warrior or do I pick Hogan? It was one of the, and I love the match because it was two good guys, two faces of the company, and I would lean more towards Warrior as being one of my all-time favorites, just because, so he has an intensity to him. He has, which if you've ever watched his promos, there is an intensity.
Absolutely.
The man behind the face paint, I know he had some issues, and I don't want to say he had issues with people that he worked with and stuff like that. Not that he had, issues or anything like that. And I never got to see that stuff. Now, I obviously didn't work with the guy like some of these guys.
Sure.
So I'm not going to see that. I have talked to people that have met the Ultimate Warrior. I have talked to people that were friends with Warrior. And when I say I talk to people, I'm talking online with some of these groups that I've made friends with. The man that was Jim Hellwig, who later changed his name to Warrior, was an incredible human being, and very passionate and very intense, not just as the Ultimate Warrior on TV that we saw, but he was very passionate and intense in his real life. And that, who he was as a person and as a character, sometimes I know it blended, but, the idea of Warrior University, the idea of the Ultimate Warrior as a person literally running around. I don't know. It just some about that. I always love that. But and I know his matches were not the they were not the traditional wrestling, shall we say? Very showman. It's very similar to Hogan. I mean,
Yeah.
in what they had, the gorilla press slam and
Yeah.
but Warrior was just one of those that I just always was drawn to. Some of these he had his some of his accolades I disagree with, but they were voted on that time. I think a lot of people didn't care for Warrior, and to those I would say you can kiss my ass, because I will agree with one match that I feel that one was earned worst match of the year 1998 Hogan Warrior versus Hogan at Halloween Havoc. It was supposed to be this big rematch to rival WrestleMania 6, and it was awful. The match was terrible, and Hogan did admit that a lot of it was his fault. But
It is not a good match.
it is not a good match on paper and everything else. And the some of the lead up, I loved, OWN, One Warrior Nation, and all that stuff. I love that. And but he had comeback of the year in '92. He had feud of the year in '91 versus The Undertaker. Match of the year at WrestleMania 6 with Hulk Hogan. Ranked number 9 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in '92. He worked at World Class Wrestling Association. He worked in WWF/E. He won the championship, the Intercontinental Championship, class of 2014 Hall of Fame, which he unfortunately, like 7 days after, it wasn't even 7 days. It was just a couple days afterwards he passed away after his induction.
It was the night after, or the night of, when he was at Raw after WrestleMania.
He had Raw.
And then he died. He something happened that night.
That night or the next day, whatever it
It
was.
was a heart attack.
But he had surprise return of the year in 2014. He won a Slammy. Ultimate Warrior still, I don't care what anybody says, he will go down as one of my all-time favorites. And, I still, you guys know me, I collect figures and memorabilia and stuff. If I'm at which I was this weekend, I found a Ultimate Warrior figure, the old Hasbro WWF figures. I found one. I'm always on the search for Ultimate Warrior stuff too. And
it's actually funny. I was just at Jay's CD and Hobby last week in West Des Moines, and I was looking through some of the stuff in their wrestling DVD section. Okay, none of this is good. And then they had the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior just sitting there. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I didn't pick it up. That was dumb of me. I should have.
On one hand, it has some
You
great...
have it, don't you?
Of course.
Of course you do.
It was Ultimate Warrior. And at the time, I did not know, when I first purchased this, you would think the name kind of says it all, but I did not know it. They were putting a blast on him, basically. I mean, there was some good stuff in it. They had really good matches and videos, and they had some really good extras. But the majority of the video, like Jim Ross bringing him, talking shit about him, and which again, these guys all had those experiences with him. I did not, and I'm not knocking JR that he had, those experiences, but
it's just, I don't know. It's funny to me that there's this whole initiative of, okay, we're a publicly traded company. We got to watch some of what we're saying. Oh, the Ultimate Warrior pissed us off. We're going to put out a DVD blasting him for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I know that video really hurt him, especially the things that were said. But Jericho, he made it a point. I mean, that was another thing with the intensity. Batista, he, modeled a little bit after Ultimate Warrior, especially when he came out and shook the ropes.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
Jericho talked about how much he liked Warrior and stuff. So I
mean, and this is going to be difficult, but I'm realizing we're already 20 minutes in, and we've only gotten through 2 people. We gotta speed up. We got to speed up a little bit.
Oh my God!
I do want to talk a little bit here about my number 4, He holds 2 Guinness World Records. One for the most wishes granted through the Make-A-Wish Foundation at over 650. The longest WWE face run before turning heel. He's an NCAA Division III All-American, a 17-time World Heavyweight Champion, and I think obviously everyone knows who we're talking about by this point. We're talking about the greatest of all time, John Cena. You look at the stats, you look at the figures. I hated John Cena for a long time as a kid because what would he do? He'd beat Triple H, and he'd beat Shawn Michaels, and he'd beat this guy, and he'd beat that guy, and he was Super Cena. And no one else I liked could ever get over because it was Super Cena. But at a certain point, I developed a connection with John Cena in this way of his character. We had seen him be Superman for so long, and you want to hate Superman in the moment because can't something bring him down?
Yes.
Can't there be something that this guy just wins titles all the time? There's no stories being told. But you start to go back and you start to look and you start to appreciate the fact that you did have a Superman. Because the same people, I'm sure, in the 80s that would say, God, Hogan never beats anybody, are the same people that teared up when Hogan retired.
Yep.
And eventually died. So for me, John Cena, one of the all-time greats. Like I said, 17-time world champion, which just happened this past year. That's what the picture on screen is from. The Intercontinental Championship he did win just at the end of his career to make him a Grand Slam champion. 5-time U.S. title, 4-time Tag Team champion, won the Money in the Bank, won the Royal Rumble, 11-time Slammy Award winner. Just about anything they could give him, they gave him. And John was such a hero in the ring and out of it that he's a personal favorite of mine. And I think as everyone who knows anything about me and has followed me over the last year knows, the farewell tour was very emotional for me. I had a lot of difficulty with that, but I mean, God, from winning his first title against JBL at WrestleMania 21 to losing for the last time to Cody Rhodes just feels like kind of a poetic story on John Cena's career, and so I had to put him on here as one of my top. Any quick thoughts on John Cena?
John Cena, he's one of the greatest of all time. I was similar because again he was always beating the guys that I thought should beat him. Yeah. And I struggled with him in ring because I felt like they are just shoving this guy down our throats, and it sucked and pissed me off. Yep. But I respected and liked, especially the stuff that he did outside of there, the Make-A-Wish, and kids loved him. And I am old enough to know and understand that it's a TV show. Yep. It is, it's pro wrestling, and it's okay. You're gearing this towards kids. I mean, who's buying the action figures? I'm buying the action figures.
He's buying the action figures. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. John, obviously, just a great talent and really the kind of guy that this industry needed at the time, and hopefully we can kind of get someone to take his place in one way or another. But I want to talk a little bit about your next guy.
Yep. My number 3.
He's a big deal to you.
He is a big deal. I absolutely love this guy. It's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh, yeah, the cream rises to the top. I love Macho Man. He is one I teetered on, do I want him in my 3rd or 4th place? But Macho Man is another one that when I was growing up and he was battling Hogan. Again, Hogan was one of the first ones. He was a big mainstay that it's like, oh my God, this is Hulk Hogan. But then I watched the in-ring work, and Macho Man Randy Savage could talk. I loved his rap, similar to the Superstar Billy Graham stuff. Yeah. Kind of done the same thing that Muhammad Ali. He modeled his stuff off Muhammad. And I learned later on that he was trying to be a professional baseball player. Which he was. Yep. I'm not. I don't follow baseball or anything. When I was a kid, I got hit in the head with a baseball when I was playing, and I didn't look back. I was like, nope, this ain't for me. Nope.
Not for you.
Not for me. I did not like having a white ball this size flying at my head and hitting me.
I wonder why that is.
It hurt.
Oh.
it was not. It wasn't fun.
Okay.
I didn't.
All right. Was not the fun kind of pain.
No, that was not. I did not care for it. So, but I had fun playing with my friends and stuff. But anyway, yeah, he was trying to be a baseball player. I believe he got injured, and so he moved on to kind of the family business. His father was a pro wrestler.
Angelo Poffo, yep.
And then his brother ended up being one as
Leaping
well.
Lanny.
Leaping Lanny. And, but Macho Man, he, similar to Ric Flair, having the robes and, always the sunglasses and the bandanas. And like I said, his rap and his promos were phenomenal. And then his in-ring work, and then the gorgeous Miss Elizabeth that was always with him.
Absolutely.
And, but
you can't forget about Miss Elizabeth.
But yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage, his match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah.
Later on, Savage, and I loved how he changed throughout the years. In the 80s and early 90s, he had a muscular, athletic body type. And as he went on, he went almost, I'd say, bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. Then later on in WCW, he went with Gorgeous George, and he was always Macho Man Randy Savage, and he just kind of evolved as the times went. And he was just, again, always one of my favorites. And his matches were always similar to Shawn. I can't really think of too many bad matches that Macho had.
No,
necessarily.
No,
so
I'm with you on that. Very, very good, very good professional wrestler in Macho Man Randy Savage, a legend. My favorite match of his, it's the Cop Out, but it's him and Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3.
It is. I mean, it's.
And that's the easy answer, but it's such a good match.
It's such a good match.
It's beyond good.
He was in the AWA, won the Southern Heavyweight title, CWA International Heavyweight, NWA Mid-American Heavyweight, Grand Prix International Heavyweight. That list all goes on. He's in the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame, the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion, WCW. He was the heavyweight champion 4 times. He was the WWF champion 2 times, Intercontinental champ, King of the Ring in 1987, and he was part of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2015, plus more. I mean, his accolades are very extensive there. So yeah, my number 3, again, one of the GOATs, Macho.
Well, absolutely, and you can't disagree with that. You can't argue with that at all. Certainly deserves to be on a list like this. Even if it were fact-based and not opinion-based, I think Macho makes his way onto the list easily. My number 3... Well, here's how I'll do it. I'll see if you can guess it before I say it. He was in a tag team, was the AWA World Tag Team Champion 2 times. He is in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2017. Went into the WWE Hall of Fame 2 times, once in 2011, once in 2019. The winner of 3 WWF championships, the World Heavyweight Championship, a 3-time Intercontinental Champion, a European champion, a tag team champion, a 5-time WWF tag team champion, winner of the 95 and 96 Royal Rumble, and a 15-time Slammy Award winner. Obviously, I'm talking about the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and that is my favorite picture of his entire career, from winning the Elimination Chamber when he came back. For our audio-only listeners, this is a picture of Shawn Michaels standing in the Elimination Chamber after what was thought to be a career-ending back injury. And rather than talk about all the reasons that I like Shawn Michaels right now, because I think that would be beyond easy, I think it's easier to just kind of look at his career by telling you what Slammy Awards he won, which sounds ridiculous, but stick with me here. In 1997, Best Finisher. Can't argue with that.
Yep.
In 96, Best Slammin' Jammin' Entrance. I don't know what Slammin' Jammin' means, but...
It's old school terms. I mean, yeah, it means good.
Okay, all right, cool. In 94, Best Tag Team with Diesel. Is there another 94 tag team that you think beats out Shawn and Diesel? In the WWF, at least?
No.
No?
No.
No, nothing. No, no love for the New Rockers.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
What's wrong with
okay.
you, boy?
All right. I was just curious. Men on a mission. Okay. Best threads in 1996. I know what that one means.
Okay.
Okay.
He could actually have that damn near in a year.
Yeah, that's true. Double Cross of the Year 2013 for turning on Daniel Bryan and costing him the WWE Championship at Hell in a Cell. I don't remember that. That's after his retirement. Why would he do that?
Well, I don't know if I remember that so much either. Because, I mean,
Because
him.
his best double cross was in '97.
Yeah, it was Marty Jannetty. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch some.
Or Montreal.
Oh, God.
Yeah, talk about it.
That's been his career, is double cross.
Talk about a double cross. Leader of the New Generation for '96. I'm sure that hurt Brett. Master of Mat Mechanics in '96. I'm sure that hurt Brett. Match of the Year in '94, '96, '97, 2008, and 2009, which were the ladder match at WrestleMania 10 with Razor, the ladder match at SummerSlam with Razor, Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, The Undertaker at Bad Blood, first Hell in a Cell match, Flair's retirement match at WrestleMania 24, and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. You can't argue with any of those. Moment of the Year, obviously, Undertaker and him at WrestleMania 26, Shawn ending his career. Squared Circle Shocker in '96, won for collapsing. Owen Hart accepts the award for making Michaels collapse. That probably shouldn't be something he won an award for. And he won Best Tag Team in 1994. Guess what else he won in 1994? Worst Tag Team. Because him and Diesel broke up. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how all over the place that this has kind of been for Shawn Michaels' career. And really just absolutely a legend in the industry, and there's not a world in which he is not on my list. So tell me a little bit about this next guy, because he was going to be at the top of my list, but here he is on yours. I gave him to you.
Well, and, not that this guy is interchangeable with that one, but Shawn is another one that is very fluid into my list of, God, can I,
Yeah.
But my number 2, and I know some people are surprised he's my number 2, but it is the Game, the cerebral assassin, the King of Kings, Triple H.
How can you not?
Triple H is a guy that I have followed. So we had the Monday Night Wars, and you got the NWO on one hand, you got DX on the other hand. Now, I was more WCW because of another reason that we'll talk about after a bit, but I knew of DX.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't know about DX? Who didn't know about The Rock? Who didn't know about Stone Cold?
Absolutely.
So, I loved DX. I loved Shawn and Hunter. Where I really... So, you have the DX years. You have kind of the new DX with Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. You have these guys. And then you have an evolution, no pun intended, of Triple H going solo and becoming, the cerebral assassin. And he is gone from the funny, so we had the early years with what was it, Jean-Paul
Levesque.
Granted, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah.
But it was those were the early years where it's just like the Greenwich Blue Blood, and you don't know if this guy is going to be anything.
Absolutely. No, you wouldn't.
And he came out, and Ultimate Warrior tore him a new one in WrestleMania 12.
He did.
And so, and that was my first real taste of Triple H.
Yeah.
And he was cool, but it's like, he's no Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
So then along comes DX, and I'm like, oh, this is really good stuff. Then it comes along, and he's with China, and no, yeah, he was with China during the game era, and
up through summer of '99.
yeah, and so throughout that, it's like, okay, this guy's literally changed the game, and so I really, really took to Triple H. We had the 2-man power trip. He's full on heel at all this point. 2-man power trip with Stone Cold. Screws up his quad. Tears his quad. And I had started becoming a big fan of his, like even more so. Now it's like, okay, I'm a big fan. Then comes the rehab, and we're waiting, and then comes the return, and it's like, oh my God! I remember sitting in your grandparents' kitchen with your dad watching the return of Triple H, and then it was just like, now it's to the moon. This is how he became my number 2, and I became a religious follower of Triple H, for lack of a better word. And I have followed and almost to some degree imitated ever since.
Sure.
And yeah, Triple H. We'll talk more with the next one about a few times that I've been torn of who do I follow. But yeah, Triple H, obviously now COO.
CCO.
CCO, excuse me. He was COO. Chief Operator.
He's Chief Content Officer.
Chief Content Operator. So, excuse me. These acronyms.
Yeah, you can't do it with the letters.
He is a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, class of 2019, as a member of DX, and that's all he wanted. Then he was surprised here this last year by his best friend, Sean and Taker, and he was inducted into the 2025 class. Match of the year against Undertaker and Hell in a Cell. Oh my God moment of the year, as the Undertaker kicked out of the Tombstone Piledriver against Triple H at WrestleMania. Best hair of '97. So he has 3 Slammies. He's a 2nd Grand Slam champion, the 7th Triple Crown champion. Won the Road to WrestleMania tournament in '06. Royal Rumble champion in '02 and 2016. King of the Ring 1997. Fun fact, he should have won the year before, but due to the curtain call, he was pushed back, and by fate, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
He is a tag team champion 2 times with Stone Cold and 1 time with Shawn Michaels. WWE tag team champion with Shawn. European champion, Intercontinental champion, 5-time World Heavyweight champion, and 9-time WWF/WWE champion. He's got a list of accolades, a list of championships, and now he is the guy that was part of DX with Shawn Michaels and spray painting DX on the side of the building, is now running the company. And
how insane is that?
That is insane. It just shows you that dreams do come true. Anybody, no matter what your youth was, you can take over a company and run it.
Well, Colt, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But we are going to have to break this into 2 parts.
Why is that bad news?
Well, because I know you were very excited to talk about your number 1 and my number 2 and 1, but we have hit our limit. Next week we'll be back with the rest of the list, my number 2 and 1 and Colt's number 1, and that will fill probably another 40 minutes because he can talk about this guy forever. Certainly my 2 and 1 we can talk about forever as well. So for Colt Powers, I have been Hunter Dietz, and this has been Between the Ropes,
and On the Go Media Podcast
production.
Production.
Yes.